Go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the power. Screw Green Bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
And that's the other part of it, is the people are insanely jealous of this show. This show gets the best of the best, and it does a different way, with positivity.
He scores!
Ow, my head! No, come on.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family.
Hit those milk thumbs, boys and girls.
Freeze run.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Green Bean.
Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am joined alongside my lovely co-pilots. I have Mr. Green Bean to my this way. I got Mr. Matt O'Leary to my that way. Green Bean, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I think it's nice to have some real drama with the Jets. It's my comfort zone. So I feel like we're right where we're supposed to be. So, and I'm with you two in the chat. It's going to be a good night.
Matt, how you doing tonight? You were at practice today.
I did. I was just going to say, my thought comes from practice. I have a bone to pick for you, New Jersey folks over there. I'm talking to Ryan and everyone in the chat. I'm sick of you guys monopolizing the New York Jets because we once were a fine civilization where they practiced on Long Island and played in New Jersey. We shared. Now, every time I want to do anything Jets related, I have to be in the car for 5 fucking hours. That's what it was. 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back. And like a fool, every week, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm excited. I'm going to go to camp today. And then I forget, oh, yeah, it's going to also be 5 hours in the car. So I've made like 4 trips in the past month to New Jersey. And every single time I get raked over the coals on the George Washington Bridge. Whoever invented the George Washington Bridge deserves to be tarred, feathered, and hung in front of the town square for all of us to point and laugh at, because I am done with it. Can we please go back to pre-2008 and share the New York Jets? Because I am done with it. Sorry, Ryan.
That's all right. That's totally fine. You know, I just won't
Get
send
it off
you
your
tickets
chest,
next
man.
time I get them. For all of you history buffs in the chat, George Washington was actually the one that built the George Washington Bridge. It's a fact. That's why it's named after him.
That's right. He did it by himself, too, which is why he's such an impressive historical figure. He did it. You know, everybody said, you can't do this by yourself. He said, watch me.
Well, the actual story, part of that was that he was chopping down cherry trees, and they're like, yo, you should try like a hammer and like some rivets and stuff. And he was like, watch this.
Yeah.
I'll use my wooden
once
teeth.
He did that, once he got his mitts on a rivet, he couldn't stop him.
Then he
so
fucked
learn a little
me.
bit of history here. Learn a little bit of history here on the Talkin' Jets panel. Boys and girls, if you're just hopping in here, make sure you hit that like button. For every 25 likes we get on this video, we're going to pick a t-shirt, jersey, mug, hat, pillow, something qualifier at the end of the stream. Someone's going to win that. And if you guys... Actually, did we give away all the tickets for the 20th? I think we did. But I'll double check that throughout the show. If any of you guys, season ticket holders, if you manage to get Jets-Giants joint practice tickets, and you happen to have an extra one, I would love to go. So reach out to me, Jets Talk 24/7. I will try to do the every play, every throw kind of video that we did for the green and white scrimmage. See if we can get a little bit of fun from our old crosstown rivals. But we got a lot to get into tonight. Got a little Haason Reddick drama. We got a little bit of Commanders preseason action. So we actually get to talk some football on the field. Very excited about that. But before we do, I do want to remind you guys, we do have our ticket group by TalkinJets.com. Head over, get your tickets. Week 4, Jets, Broncos. We are going over with Tailgate Joe. You get drink, food, music, ticket included, and we get to go on the field after the game, so it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to hang out with Matt, Green Bean, myself, and hopefully, maybe see Zach Wilson play against our defense, it'd be oh so wonderful. We already know we're playing Geno Smith. It sounds like we're going to be playing Mr. Sammy Darnold, thanks to a meniscus tear in J.J. McCarthy. So all we got to hope for is, just a little Zach Wilson action week 4, and we can throw some meat to the Lions. Matt, how you feeling about week 4?
I don't know if I want to go anymore over the George Washington. No, I'm genuinely very excited for this because it's something that Green Bean and I both really love. The 1 o'clock start, which means we'll be in the lot at around 9 a.m. We'll be having whatever Tailgate Joe and his lovely mother are cooking up for us, and it's going to be fantastic. And then we're going to all, as a group, go on the field after instead of having to, as nice as it was last year. Last year was a blast. It stunk a little bit that we had to split up into 2 groups. This time, no, sorry, Bob. We're going to all stay together the whole time. It's going to be great. The Jets are going to win. We're going to take a victory picture on the field. We're going to flex on them. We're going to give the double bird to Zach Wilson on the way out and be on our merry way.
We should come up with, we're going to have so many people at this game in our one section that I think we need to come up with some type of chant that all of us will start doing and try to get the rest of the stadium to like pick up on it. I feel like that would be a lot of fun to do. Green Bean, you got anything in mind as far as a chant could possibly be?
Oh,
I know.
What?
How does Green Bean not come up with this? It's his move. It's the
yeah. Last year we got that going. That was great. We got it go. It's loud. I'm telling you. Yeah, we got to do that. That's fun.
We should totally do that. Boys and girls, if you have a good chant that we should be doing, drop it in the comment section as we're going through this, because I think it would be a lot of fun to pull it up as we go throughout this night here. But if you want to head over to talkinjets.com, still have a few tickets left. Would love to have you gals and guys and everyone else join us. Tony drops in with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Says Martinez, first debut was on Green Bean Mania.
That's right. No, so he's saying the Martinez package. Remember, Tony was the Streveler package for 2 years. So
that makes sense.
The display that Tony witnessed in the second half of the first preseason game was the onus for the creation of a brand new package, the Martinez package, which was debuted on the live stream just this past weekend on Green Bean Jets Fan. The historical event took place in front of everybody. It was amazing to watch Tony embrace a brand new package, and we're going to hear about it every single stream, which I could not be more excited about going into the 2024 New York Jets season.
Speaking of appreciating a good package, I want to thank Blitz Crew for dropping 10 donations, 10 memberships to the OnlyFans. Thank you so much, Blitz Crew. I see Mr. Greenbean was gifted a membership.
That's right.
Make sure all the members that just got gifted a membership, drop some emojis in the chat. They are a lot of fun. Blitz Crew comes in again saying, just gifted Greenbean a membership. He deserves one.
Thanks, Blitz Crew.
Josh comes into the super chat, says, move to Jersey, Maddie, 2 times. Anyone concerned with Mosley's age? Thanks for making Tuesdays better, boys. Josh, of course, we're here for you guys. We're here to hang out. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to this Tuesday every single week. As far as Mosley's age, not concerned about it right now. I mean, he is getting up there in age, so something to monitor, I guess. I didn't feel through watching him at camp that we have an issue at all. I will say that I love me some Quincy Williams, and I like Surratt behind him, and I like some of the linebackers that are developing behind those guys as well. I like Ashton Davis coming in as a third safety in lieu of having a third linebacker too. So it kind of takes a little bit of the emphasis off Mosley, in my opinion, but I do think it's something we should at least be mindful of moving throughout the season. Matt, do you have any concern with Mosley's age?
Well, I'm locked into Suffolk County, New York for the next 30 years, and so that not getting out of New York to get to Jersey anytime soon. Although I guess I technically could, but I don't know if the missus would like that as much. The Mosley thing, I'm not concerned with his age. I think he's looked good in training camp, and I expect him to be once again good. What makes him, I think, a special player is his football IQ. While it's kind of obvious that he's lost a step on the field, I think because of how smart of a player he is, he kind of makes up for what he loses physically. So I think even if he does lose another step or half a step this year, that he could still be a productive player. And as you mentioned, with the emergence of Quincy Williams, that's going to be a major help. And they love Jamie Sherwood, and he's had a monster camp as well, too. So they already have kind of the next guy waiting in the wings here. So I think they'll be okay.
Green Bean, what about you? Any concern about Mosley?
No, I agree with everything that was just said. That was what I was going to say. Is don't forget. Now he might not be C.J. Mosley in his prime, but Jamien Sherwood is a fine football player, and I'm actually excited for him. By the way, if you guys don't know, a stat came out this offseason where he had, I think it was like 47 tackles, let's say, not one missed tackle. He was the only player on the Jets defense not to have a single missed tackle, where conversely, Whitehead had 15 missed tackles. So Jamien Sherwood, he's good in pass coverage. You know, he's fast. He's an adequate rusher when you send him on a blitz. But what he brings to the defense is he is an extremely sure tackler. Look, he's got the coverage skills. Don't forget, he was a safety in college. So he's been here. This is his 4th year now, and he's primed. So I think, as we watch and keep our eye on C.J. Mosley, in the event there are scenarios where he might be a liability, we got a guy who's been in this defense since Salah's been here. So I feel pretty good about that. That said, I'm not where I think C.J. Mosley is going to be fine this year. I'm excited for what he brings to the defense.
Jetpack comes in, says, control the grip, secure the sack, go Jets. Speaking of joining the OnlyFans, right? That's we're all about innuendos here. So thank you very much, Jetpack.
Well, you know what he's talking about. You know what he's talking about, Ryan.
I thought I knew. Now I'm not sure.
Well, your head is in the toilet after. Hey, by the way, you know how much drugs I used to traffic over that George Washington Bridge, Matt? by the
how
way,
many balloons did you hide in your butt?
Oh no, never in my butt. But it's a funny story. One time, a guy I went with insisted on putting it up his butt, and he couldn't get it out. We were trying to get it out till the sun came up, and I ended up.
How were you helping?
I'm not proud of it, but I ended up splitting his face open that night. But no, I had a whole system. But go in on the upper, out on the lower, whole thing. But anyway, I just wanted your aggravation with the bridge. What's that?
So are we still talking about the bridge?
Yeah, I guess so. But no, what Jetpack, I think, Jetpack, you can correct me, is I think he's talking about Leonard Taylor III. And when he rushed the quarterback, one of the things that was so impressive to me, not just, his ability to get to the quarterback and or running backs in the backfield. He had 2 tackles for loss and a sack. But on the sack, he kind of throws the guard out of the way and gets one hand on the quarterback with momentum. The quarterback's going left and he's kind of swinging to the right, but he got his hand on him and the quarterback was toast. And that was the thing that was so great about Joe Klecko. Like the thing that you would hear everybody say is once he got his fingers on you, it was over. It was a wrap because he was so strong. And I'm really hoping to see more of that from Leonard Taylor, because if you got a guy like that, how annoying is it when your guy gets to the quarterback and the quarterback squirts out? It's like, that should have been a sack. He exhibited something that we just haven't seen with all that much consistency. And it was only one time, but let's see if he can keep doing it. It was beautiful. He had one hand on it, on the quarterback, and he was sacked. And I love that. I love when my defensive linemen have those strong hands. If they get near the quarterback, they get one hand on him, he's toast. So that's what I think you're talking about. And I was just as excited. So I'm really hopeful for that young fella to kind of make it impossible to cut him, Ryan. That's what I'm thinking. Just make it impossible for the Jets to expose him to waivers and watch him develop.
That would be absolutely wonderful. And we'll get into it in a minute, but Haason Reddick not being here, it's leaving an open roster spot right now. So it's giving us a little bit of protection. Pat Dunn, what's good, dude? Drops a 10 spot. Thanks so much.
Hey.
One Jets Drive starts off with O-line coach Keith Carter. Keith Carter, from my understanding through KRL's scouting reports through the first week of camp, I don't think he's done any recently, but Keith Carter switched up a lot of the different approaches to the offensive line practicing, how they're doing everything, and I feel like you're starting to bear some fruit with that. If you guys haven't checked it out, over on my channel, I did an every snap from Olu Fashanu, so if you want to take a look at him and Tippmann and just kind of see how they performed throughout this past week's game, Olu had a really nice, and I didn't catch it at the time, a little nice fake jab that Tyron Smith is known for, and like that little bit of like nuance from a veteran player is something that is so cool to see, that he's just absorbing all this information, but whether it's, you know, Moses or Tyron, but you're getting Carter Warren and Max Mitchell and Fashanu all starting to like soak up that little bit of knowledge. Matt, I'll throw it to you first. What were your thoughts on the Jets offensive line this past week?
I thought the offensive line was fine. I was satisfied with the offensive line's play. I thought what stood out to me the most was how stylistically they are different in the run game, and pulling guards and opening up lanes. I thought there were a couple clips on film that stood out from Xavier Newman. Even who was the other guy?
Yo, Newman had a really good like block, and then he just like chased down his guy and like pancaked him. I don't know if you saw that clip.
Yeah, that was one of them that I thought about. Maybe it was Carter Warren. Forgive me, I'm forgetting the other one who it was. But moral of the story is, I thought they were strong on the offensive line, and you know, two young guys who are going to be a part of this team. Joe Tippmann, who is really the only starter on offense that played, was good. No issues with the snaps, and Olu is just steady Eddie as a pass protector, man. He's really exciting to watch.
Green Bean, what are you thinking about the offensive line?
Yeah, well, I mean, I tell you what, I was actually watching. By the way, if you guys haven't checked out Ryan making, like, there was a lot of people that couldn't see the game this weekend, right? And I had lots of comments. Even I struggled in the beginning of our stream. Like, I have NFL Plus, I got YouTube TV, I got Hulu, I got fucking Amazon and Paramount, and I couldn't. It's like it was like blacked out because I'm in Washington's market. They blacked it out down here. I heard it was blacked out in certain parts of the New York market. So we're having all these problems. So there was a lot of people saying to me that I couldn't watch the game. And what I was saying was Ryan makes it incredibly easy. And this, I mean, usually you just pick like the quarterback. I don't know if it's going to be a trend this year for Ryan, but what he did do is he kind of zeroed in on all the players of interest, like Will McDonald, Olu Fashanu, Braylon Allen, and he made videos of every single play from that player. So you can just kind of, if you're interested, hey, I want to see how Braylon Allen did, you can just go and watch Ryan's videos. So one of the things I was going to do is there was a couple plays where, like Matt just said, the pass protection I thought was exceptional. You know, we had 14 pass rush snaps, no pressures. So, but there was an interesting other side to it, and this was the little bit of a concern. I don't want to say concern, but it was like the downside to Fashanu is that his run blocking needs a little bit of work. It leaves some to be desired, you know. So I was going to kind of focus in on that a little bit and just look at some of the things that he did on a couple of the runs, particularly the first Braylon Allen run that ended up going for 7 yards. Like the guy who made that tripped him up and made the tackle was Olu Fashanu's guy, you know, so that happened a couple of times. So it's really nice that we have this first round guy who's the most important thing is protecting Aaron Rodgers, right? So he excels at that, but that he doesn't have to get thrown in there game one. And we have time to like work on the things that he needs to work on, which I think is really, it's a nice situation to be in. For the Jets, who traditionally, if we have a first round player, usually not only do they start, we need them to be excellent in order for the team. Like, we hope that they're coming in to save us, first round pick. We do that shit with our 6th round picks. Our 6th round pick is going to be the best. It's going to be the steal of the draft, man. Like, that's how we roll. So it's just nice to see it. But Ryan makes it really easy, man. I hope you do that all year, not to add work to your plate, but it's really I think it makes it real easy. If you just want to not have to watch the whole game to see how somebody did, Ryan already cut it up for you. It's nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and see how I can do it in season because it's a little bit easier in the preseason because I knew like, you know, Tyrod and Allen and all these guys, they were done by the halftime. So I was able to edit it while like stuff was going on. So as long as people are fine with it getting out maybe a little bit later so I could do post game and all that good stuff. And then maybe I drop it throughout the week that way. But I want to key in on some of the highlighted players. It may not be the same guys each and every week. I'll do the Aaron Rodgers every throw when that comes out. I'll probably do like the running backs. I don't know if I'll do like a lump sum running back thing or if I'll just do like the player itself. I'll have to kind of see how hard or easy it is. But I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I felt bad because I know a few people were a little bit hyped on Will McDonald prior to like, you know, seeing the spin move, like, oh, let's go. And then I dropped the every, you know, snap from Will McDonald. And the same day Haason Reddick decides to hold like, I want to trade now. It's like, damn it. Like Will McDonald's not looking great in this spring of game. And now he's got more leverage. And then I take full responsibility for Reddick not showing up.
Thanks. It was all your fault.
Right.
It's all right. We'll get through it. Hype says, covered in sauce on number 1's pass breakup. So I did see, was it Lazard on sauce today, Matt? You were at practice today.
Yes.
It was. So it was nice to see a little, I mean, I don't want to see Sauce get beat, but I like seeing Lazard catch the perfect pass.
It was good. I was going to say it was a really good ball. Like, I don't think it's like Sauce Gardner was cooked on it. Lazard went up and made a play on a really well-thrown pass from Aaron Rodgers. And honestly, this was my favorite practice, and maybe I'm biased because like it was one that I was there for, but the reason why I liked it is because in the first 2 possessions, the defense was dominating. They were getting after it. Coverage was locked tight. Rodgers had nowhere to go, and the defensive line was getting home. And then they went and did like their back to like the positional groups and did some like punt practicing. And someone turned to me and was like, "Oh, are you going to rip them today?" I was like, no, like the defense is good. Like they just look good. And then when they did the drive the field drills at the end, the offense just went beast mode. So we got kind of both ends of the spectrum. We got the defense doing what they do best, get pressure, lock tight coverage, and then the offense spreading the ball around and Rodgers throwing it all over the place. It's the best of both worlds today.
Feels good. Feels good to see that. Speaking of coverage from Hype, I really liked Bernard Converse in the preseason game. I thought that was a nice little, like, he stood out the most to me of any of the defensive players, I think. I kept a close eye on Stiggers at the beginning of the game, but JBC, I felt like I constantly heard his name. Like, even the long pass that was caught over his head was just a beautifully thrown pass. Like, tight coverage and everything. Very, very much impressed with JBC. Greenbean, what did you think of the coverage of, I guess, both Stiggers and JBC?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was nice to see such an extended sample size for Jarek Bernard Converse. Because, look, let's be straight. I think most Jets fans didn't really expect or have any high hopes for him to kind of show up and be anything this year. We had him last year. He was injured a lot of the year. We didn't see him. They were switching him from safety, and then they're switching him back to cornerback. And then he comes out, and even on that 40-yard bomb or whatever it was, the coverage was beautiful. I mean, sometimes great plays happen. If it's a perfect pass, perfect catch, it just happens, right? But the coverage was there. He wasn't burned. Conversely, the young man Al Blades, I don't know if you were focused, but he got toasted, man, on that big tight end catch and run from the Commanders. So it was nice to see him. It seemed, I don't want to say he was picked on, but it seemed like they threw the ball his way a lot. So we got to see him in coverage, and he showed speed, length, good tracking, so I'm really excited about him, kind of being that cornerback 5 or 5, I guess after 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐾𝐿, So I don't know. It's exciting to see such a physically gifted player show up and have such a nice first game because it's clearly we don't know what's going to happen next year with DJ Reed and all that kind of stuff. So it's just nice to see guys developing on the defense. Tony Oden, man, I've said it time and time again. He's probably my favorite defensive coach, not named Jeff Ulbrich. And in the event Ulbrich gets gets a head coaching job after this year or something like that. Tony Oden to me is the guy that should probably be our defensive coordinator. But he does an amazing job with these guys, and I think the development of guys like Tony Adams and Jarek Bernard-Converse, late round picks, undrafted free agents, those kind of guys. If you can develop those types of players into real contributors, that's saying something, man. So Michael Carter II, right? He was a late round pick too. So it's nice to see. I thought it was really fun to get a chance to see him in action. I thought he looked great.
Got Jake in the chat. What's up, Jake? Says these three heroes on screen are saving Tuesday nights. Damn right.
Jake.
The best.
The best.
Thank you, dude.
Did I tell you guys, Jake is going to come to the Coney Island Cyclone on September 28th with us this year.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's
going to be great.
I'm excited for the Cyclone.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Got Joe M in the chat, dropping his member super chat. Says, thanks for the pillows, fella. Or thanks for the pillow, fellas. It showed up today in the mail. Oh. Joe M, if you want to send Matt a picture of you holding the pillow, we'll throw it up on screen. Send it to him on Twitter.
Yeah, send it on Twitter or Instagram or email, whatever you can.
I don't believe Morse code will work, so if you're receiving that on that side, a little bit tougher.
Snail mail also does not work.
Andrew Yale, 3rd and long. Who are your top 4 defensive linemen to get to the quarterback? Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams, hopefully Haason Reddick. If not, probably Will McDonald. And then Kinlaw, I guess, inside. Although I guess it depends how Taylor develops. Like if some of these guys wind up showing out early on, that could probably change. But I think that's probably my 4. Green Bean, what about you?
I'm right there. I mean, that's the list. But I think, I know that they're undrafted free agents, and we don't know who's going to make the roster. And the Reddick thing, I firmly believe. I know it's aggravating. I'm right with everybody as far as the emotional side, but I think Reddick's going to be here. I think he'd be a complete moron. So that all being what it is, I have to admit, I really like the young guys on the edge, just all along the defensive line, let me say, so Leonard Taylor being in the middle. I like Eric Watts. I like Braden McGregor. I like these guys to make the roster and, kind of have that low percentage role playing kind of a thing, and just slowly develop special teams and maybe, 10-12% of the snaps. I like it's just amazing the depth on this defensive line. And then when you add to it that we have this batch of predominantly undrafted free agents that I actually believe in, I think is really cool. And then don't forget Takk McKinley's here. And I mean, we have a whole bunch of options for that last spot or two that could also potentially add to the pass rushing side of things. I think anytime you have a Quinnen Williams and a Jermaine Johnson on the line, I think that's going to draw attention. So if you have guys with any modicum of pass rushing prowess, they're going to succeed more on a defensive line with those guys than they would if we were depending on them. So many years we would have one guy and just hope he could do something like a Jeff Lageman or whatever it might be. But when you have a series of guys that can legitimately be, a guy who draws double teams and all that sort of thing, it frees up the other guy. Whether it's McDonald or even the young guys, if Braden McGregor gets in there on a pass rushing down, he can come in and have an impact because of all the attention that a guy like Quinnen Williams and Jermaine Johnson, caused it. And if Reddick's out there, too, having a guy like a Kinlaw, like you mentioned, or Leonard Taylor, they're going to be able to pop through and make those plays when the offensive line and and running backs and tight ends and such have to focus on all the other great players that you have. It's really exciting. this preseason is more exciting for me because of guys like that. Jarek Bernard-Converse at the cornerback position, but all over the defensive line. We have young guys that just a handful of years ago, we would literally be talking about second string starters. Like they would be shoo-ins to make our roster. The only reason that we're not talking like that is because of the depth on this team. So I'm excited, man. And who knows, maybe even Leaky Fotu gets in on the pass rushing fun. I don't know, but I think we have a lot of guys that can get the job done.
Matt, what about you? What do you think your top 4 D linemen would be in a 3rd and long situation?
Okay, so I'm calling an audible from you guys a little bit. You got Will McDonald on the edge, Haason Reddick on the edge, Quinnen Williams up the middle, and JJ kicks inside. So we're just going 4 guys, balls to the wall, rushing the passer. One of them's going to get home.
That would be wild. Absolutely nuts. I feel like JJ's got the muscle to be inside too. Kills drops him in the super chat. Thank you, dude. Says, I thought we'd get our first hip drop flag on that Washington long tight end throw. Who knows how hard they'll enforce that? So I think, I forget the exact stat, but I think it was 1 or 2% of all NFL tackles last year were the hip drop variety that would be flagged. Someone can fact check me in the chat if you know the statistic offhand. So I don't think we're going to see it a whole crazy ton this year. I don't know, Matt, you think there's going to be, you think we'll see the hip drop frequently at all?
I think it's going to be called a couple times this year, and we'll debate it maybe once a month, something like that. But I don't think it's going to be like this crazy every single week. It's a massive thing. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's only something that maybe comes up a couple times this season. I'm really interested to see the new kickoff rules, and I know we kind of got a little taste of it in the first preseason game, but everyone's been so vanilla with it. I feel like in week 1 of the regular season, that's when people are going to start to go a little crazy and really show their cards of what they're cooking up here.
Dude, I cannot wait for them to take Zuerlein or Morstead, whoever it is, off the field the first week of the season on Monday Night Football and put Quincy Williams in there to kick a pooch kick. And he's just going to come down screaming 100 miles an hour and lay the lumber on someone. Because now you got 11 guys that can tackle a rusher because you don't need to boot it out of the back of the end zone anymore. It's a totally different game. Absolutely wild what's going to wind up happening. I can't wait for it.
He's got to get it in that landing zone, though, whatever they call it. You got to be sure you can do that. But
it's like 25 yards, isn't it? Like, it's a pretty wide field of...
It is. It's nice big space. But if you don't, the penalty, getting it, what is it, at the 40?
It's like kicking it out of bounds, right? So it's...
Yeah, I mean, it's
15-yard difference. Is it 25? Did they change where the touchback is now? Or no? Well, I guess it's the 40, right? If you don't...
Yeah, it's either the 40, and there's something happens where the ball gets put on the 30. If it goes out of the back of the end zone, perhaps it's on the 30. I don't know why that's jumping out to me, too.
Interesting. I'll have to pay. I got to look up the rules a little bit more on the kickoff stuff. I'm excited for it. I think we're going to see a ton of returns, and I think everyone's being very coy with how they're trying to do it right now. And we're going to see like some absurd amount of touchdowns in the first week of the season, and then they'll be like, all right, we might need to adjust this a little bit. Palicar comes in and says, how much pressure is on Will McDonald? What are the expectations? The expectations are he's a first-round pick, number 15 overall. He better show out. Now, as far as like the pressure's only going to build more and more for however long Reddick's out for. If Reddick comes back and he's back for week 1 of the season and he's balling out, there becomes less pressure on Will McDonald. But if Haason Reddick is missing games and we are now highlighting Will McDonald, or we're seeing a lot more a lot more Michael Clemens, then I think you are going to see more and more heat get cranked up on Will McDonald. Because a lot of fans, I would say the majority of fans, did not like that pick when it was made. I know the 3 of us were dumbfounded that we took an edge rusher at that point in the draft. So I think there's a lot of pressure on WMD. Green Bean, what are your thoughts on Will McDonald and how much pressure is on him?
No pressure on Will McDonald. Just go out there and spin around these guys. And I think he's going to end up having, a pretty good year. I think he's going to play, we need him to kind of fill that Bryce Huff role, and just kind of like all he has to be is pass rushing down have an impact. If he's more than that, fantastic. For year two, I get it. I think the first round pick thing is definitely why people have, like you said, pressure, perceived pressure or expectations and all that. And I don't think it's off base, but I think all he has to do is come in on pass rushing downs and show that he can create pressure. I don't think he's going to have any problem doing that, man. What was his? So he had, I think he had 3 pressures, and the one, he got called for the penalty, which is debatable.
Yes, BS call.
Did he have?
Yeah, I
3
mean,
pressures?
I can see why. I think it's because he drove his feet, kind of lifted the quarterback off the ground there, but I think it could have very easily not been called. But anyway, that being what it is, he got to the quarterback off of the spin move. Now, again, I don't want to say that there's no pressure, but I don't think that it's quite where a lot of Jets fans may have it. I think Will McDonald is going to be fine. I think if he plays, 35 to 40% of the snaps, we're going to get, I don't know, a whole bunch of pressures and maybe 8 to 10 sacks out of him. That's what I think. I believe in him. I think when I watch him, I see the talent. I see it. So I'm actually excited about him. I don't think he's got to be an every down player right now and play, 50+% of the snaps and kind of dominate. I think his specialty right now would be more than enough.
So I pulled up PFF, which is not the be all end all as far as pressures and stuff go. So they're saying he had 12 total snaps, 7 of which were run defense snaps, 5 of which were pass rush snaps. He graded out as an 87.1 in terms of pass rush, but got a total of 0 pressures. So,
yeah, I don't know if I buy it.
How do you get 0 pressures when you're in the quarterback's face as he throws the ball?
I guess that
he got the penalty. Right? It got wiped out. It wasn't a play.
I guess so.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
But still, that's a good rep. Like if you watch the spin move and getting to the good pass rush rep. So you take the good with the bad.
That's probably why they gave him that boost there. They probably in their mind maybe forgave the penalty because it was still a good play, regardless.
Let me ask you this:
Yeah,
if a guy plays 3 pass rushing snaps, or let's say 5, and gets the quarterback once, is that good in your eyes?
I would say it depends on the other edge rushers and why this guy isn't playing as much. Like if we have good pass rushers and we just have a guy that 33% of the time he's getting to the quarterback. But
I'm just saying, just numerically, aside from, I hear you. Aside from all that, if he's on the field for 5 pass rush snaps and he gets to the quarterback once, do we not view that as successful?
I think it's good. I think that's solid.
Yeah. So that's what
I
it
don't know
is.
what's a good percentage of getting to the quarterback. Do you know what a good pressure rate is, percentage wise?
I think around 10% is the number. Let's look at PFF pass rush win rate. I would think 20 is a pretty good number here. Who do we want to use, Miles?
That's got to be really high, I would think. 20 would probably be. When you think about how many pass rush moves you did over the course of the season, you'd have way over 20 sacks then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Right. You look at guys, look, if a guy gets 13 sacks in 17 games, he's considered a pass rushing freak.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's a good Myles Garrett, 89 pressures on 522 pass rush reps, 17%.
Okay. So the best of the best.
High teens then.
All right. So if you wind up in that 10 range, you're probably above average, I would think. I would bet there's. Does it have a whole list of them, Matt? Or
I just looked at an individual. Here, I'll pull up Bryce Huff from last year, doing quick math. Oh, this is going to be really high. 67 on 334 is 20%.
Wow. We let that guy go. His replacement isn't showing up. Damn it. We'll get to that in just a minute. Aaron Daniels, what's good, dude? Says, yo, what's up, guys? So glad to have this show back. How many rushing and how many receiving touchdowns is Breece gonna get this year? So real quick, let me just pull up what he had as far as a receiving and rushing last year. I don't know offhand what the split was. I'm looking at defense. That's why. All right. Damn it, you got to click on... That's annoying. All right. Rushing touchdowns. He had 5 last year. And receiving touchdowns, he had 4. So I'm going to say he gets 9 rushing, 8 receiving. We're going to be just shy of 20 TDs from Breece this year. That's going to be my guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
We'll say, what does that work out to be? 17 touchdowns? Almost 50-50? We'll go that. I don't know what other running backs get, but that just has me juiced. Matt, your thoughts?
I would love that. I'm going to say, I was going to go like maybe 9 rushing touchdowns and like 5 receiving touchdowns, 14, something like that.
What about you, Bean? Where do you think Breece is at?
All right. So I think Breece Hall is going to have less rushing touchdowns than he is passing touchdowns, interestingly enough. And the reason being is I think that when we get down to the goal line and stuff, they're going to bring in the Braylon Allens of the world. You know, I really look for the Jets to utilize Braylon Allen and in some instances, maybe Isaiah Davis to get the hard, you know, that 1 to 2 yards, whether it's a first down or touchdown. So I'm going to say Breece gets 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns, but I think he's going to have like 7 or 8 passing touchdowns. So what's that? 14, I guess, 13.
He did tweet out today. There was a reception that he made, and he said wide receiver 2, based on himself catching the touchdown. So, I mean, honestly, he is. I think he is going to see, if not the most amount of touches on this offense, the second most receptions on this offense, you know, second to probably just Garrett Wilson. So I can totally see receptions being higher than runs this year. Good question, Aaron. Good question. Again, I'm going to throw it out in the chat. Boys and girls, if you have not done so already, hit that like button. For every 25 likes we get on this video, we're going to pick a t-shirt, jersey, hat, mug, pillow qualifier at the end of this stream. And someone's going to win that. And then if you have not done so already, we have a live chat poll question. So if you're not subscribed, you want to vote on the poll question, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button and vote on this. Will Haason Reddick miss any regular season games? The only options are yes or no. I don't love where the vote is falling on this, just 270 votes in. So let your voices be heard, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. And if you haven't done so already, I'll make mention of this. The Talkin Jets Broncos Week 4 game. Head over to talkinjets.com. We still got a few tickets left. All right. We'll get into the Haason Reddick of it all, but I just saw Tom Cahill pop in. Thank you so much, dude, for the super chat. It says, guys, I was there in 1969. I have the exact same feeling now as I did then. The whole league doesn't know what they're up against. Dude, I just want to I want to come out. As much as I want Rodgers to just clear that 30 touchdown mark, beat Fitzpatrick, I would love to see a 45 touchdown or a 50 touchdown, Peyton Manning-esque final 2 years. Even if Rodgers is a shell of his former self next year, but we wind up getting a ring sometime over these next 2 years and we get all the crazy excitement of this year, I just want it. I want to see what a crazy offense looks like once in my life. And Fitz is the closest thing I've seen to it. Matt, your thoughts? You getting that feeling? A warm and fuzzy feeling inside?
I'm 80% warm. The 20% cold is the Haason Reddick nerves, which is what I'm calling it that. I'm not saying oh my God, this is it. He's not going to show up. The Jets are they're going to have to trade him, this or that. But I think he gives a little bit of that situation gives a little bit of sour taste in my mouth for where the Jets are this year. But overall, good vibes are flowing. I haven't been this excited about a Jets season in a year since last year.
So, fun fact, the last time we had a star player hold out over a quarterback, over a contract for this long We made it to the AFC Championship game. Fingers crossed. Green Bean, you got that warm, fuzzy feeling inside?
I do. You know what? And, I know that we have a damper right now, which is, again, like I said in the beginning, appropriate. Like, what would an off season be of training camp without some bullshit, right? We need a little bit. It normalizes things for me. I can't be in too high in the clouds, pie in the sky. I like it. It's normal. But, like, here's the thing. Jeremy, of all people, you know how dumb Jeremy is, but every now and then he says something smart, which he said it on Twitter. I believe it was today. He said the way everybody's freaking out about this play, like, that it ruins our hopes and all this kinds of stuff, and Joe Douglas blew it and all that kind of stuff. In the event this guy got hurt, does that mean that our season's over? And I have to, like, when you look at it through that lens, like, we want him on the field. Nobody's saying that, right? He is what he is. He's somebody that we want to see playing for us. But in the event he gets hurt, do we think we have no shot? No, I don't. I mean, okay, next guy up, Will McDonald, Michael Clemens, Eric Watts, whoever it is, somebody will go in it. We'll figure it out. And we're not dropping all the way down to some loser. That even if it's Tack McKinley, like is it Reddick? No, but I don't think that the drop off is so drastic that it's liability to the degree that we feel like our season's over. And that puts it in perspective to me. So I want to thank Jeremy for that comment. Very, very sobering comment, if you will, from Egghead himself. So with that, especially because this is like the kind of the yucky of the whole thing, I could not be more excited for this season, man. I honestly feel like, what's scary about it? The last time I really felt like this, maybe 2010, I felt like we had among, if not the best team in the NFL. I just didn't like our quarterback. I didn't love Sanchez. He made me nervous. I didn't feel the same lack of confidence that I did with Zach. You know what I mean? Like, I think Sanchez and Zach are completely different animals. Like, Sanchez could play, right? But still, I was like, But the last time I really felt like this, and this is gonna freak people out. I'm not even fucking saying it. I can't, because it's a jinx and I can't do it. But but yeah, it's bad. But I look at the team and I think we are built for a championship. Like, even adding the Corley, Davis, Braylon Allens to this mix, I feel like it's a design. Like, we have like Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, we have the Breece Hall, we have the ability to, these very exciting plays and take over the game. But we also now have a legitimate ability to ball control, which is my whole thing. I believe very strongly in keeping your offense on the field, wearing down their defense, keeping our defense fresh. I think it's just tried and true. I know I'm old. I get it. 4 yards to play wins the game. I understand, but it's the truth. If your offense is on the field and you could just have these 6 to 9 minute drives and your defense is just sitting over there, snarling and ready to get, and you end up scoring points. Like, we can go we can dominate anybody that way. And I believe that we're built to do that, which is my kind of football. And I couldn't be more excited. I might even be bordering confidence, not just excitement, which is fucking weird, Ryan.
Dude, with a defense like this, if you could play ball control offense, which is what's so key about all these running backs we brought in. Braylon Allen looks like a stud. Isaiah Davis looks really good too. And then you got Breece leading the pack. So, like, these three are going to control the line of scrimmage, and we are going to beat down a defense and give our defense so much more rest. I mean, think about how many times we had 3 and outs from Zach last year where our defense was just gassed partway through the game, and then you started to see it start to have the cracks and fall through and everything like that. It's not going to happen like that this year. You're going to see, if we play with a lead. Remember, last year we did not take an offensive snap with the ball and a lead until week 4. Halfway through week 4 was the first time we took a snap on offense with the lead. That's going to change week 1 of this year. Jason Edwards comes in with a $10 super chat. Thanks so much, Jason. Says, Breece is running back 1 in my fantasy league. Him and Agent Zero with ball control of the league. Like Greeny says, 4 yards of play wins the game. I'm so excited about our running back room. Dude, I had someone, who the hell was it? Someone posted on Twitter yesterday. It was like, oh, I have the first pick in my draft. Who should I go with? It's like, the first pick in any draft that I get, I'm going Breece Hall. I'm feeling confident about it. As much as I'm a homer on this, I will take Breece Hall. I threw money on him to win Offensive Player of the Year as well. I think he's going to absolutely ball out this year. I think you will not be disappointed as running back 1 in your fantasy league if you get the number 1 overall pick. So that's just how I feel about it. Matt, how are you feeling about the running back room we just heard from Green Bean?
I feel fantastic about it. I really do. I don't think you're off base with those Breece Hall comments, by the way. Christian McCaffrey, I know, is going to go number 1 overall in a lot of leagues, but banged up already. And I don't know. I worry about injuries with him every single year. You're kind of just praying that he makes it through one of his healthy years and you don't get like 7 games out of him. But after that, like, yeah, Breece is absolutely in the running to be a top 3 pick in most fantasy drafts. And that's like consensus. That's not like Jets homerism right there. He's going to go very, very high. And for all the reasons we were discussing just a couple of minutes ago about him being such a factor in the receiving game, as well as someone who can rush for this year, probably 1,200 plus yards and close to double-digit touchdowns, if not more. And not to mention Braylon Allen, like this kid's 20 years old and it's already running over people at the next level. He is insanely difficult to bring down, in the second level and in open space. When you have the lead in the second half of games, they're going to be running the ball. Braylon Allen's going to be a big part of wearing down defenses. And I think that's a really, really good 1-2 punch.
So I don't want to bring too much attention to the context of this next super chat because we said we weren't going to say it. But Jason says 1999 GB, just saying. So we're going to hide it real fast. But thank you.
I don't know
Jason.
what that means.
I don't know what that means. That's what we're going to.
I wrote Yeah, right.
Do I have a little drop?
What happened?
This guy's an idiot.
Sorry, you're not an idiot. I just wanted.
No.
I just didn't want to. I didn't have a good drop for a or anything. That I'll have to figure out a good drop. Boogie Down Bronx comes in and says, can you imagine if Bryce Huff plays all 17 games and has 13 sack season and Haason Reddick never plays it down for the Jets? Would be a fireable offense. Look, I can't get to that level because I think Bryce Huff should have been re-signed at the offseason a year and a half ago. When we gave him the second round tender, we made our decision. We want another team to trade for you for a second round pick. You're not worth the extra $2 million that the first round tender would have been to secure you, because no one would have given up a first round pick. No one gave up a second round pick for him. But to pay him an extra $2 million to secure him on our team for next year, to say, hey, you're a staple of this defense. We want you moving forward. Let's work out a long-term deal. We gave him the second round tender, asked other teams to come take him, and then drafted his replacement in Will McDonald. So that bed was made prior to the whole Haason Reddick thing. So I can kind of get over that aspect of it. The other part of it is Haason Reddick, I said it at the time, it's a calculated risk. This guy did not want to play on his existing contract for a team that he wanted to play for in the Philadelphia Eagles. And he was criticized last year, giving up in the last 4 games of the season, not having a single sack. There was definitely some rumblings of disgruntledness all of last offseason, and other teams knew he wanted a contract prior to getting into it. I'll pull up the Deanna Rossini comment that we saw earlier today in just a little bit here. But I think the calculation for Joe Douglas and and Haason Reddick was, this guy is getting $15 million a year this year. The Eagles are going to have to cut him. So he's going to get a monster contract if he hits the open market. If I trade for him, maybe we can bait him into a guaranteed contract of his existing number, or maybe an easier, shorter term deal that's not quite $28 million a year. And the Jets said, hey, look, if he doesn't play this year, he doesn't get his $15 million. There is no injury guarantee on his contract, and he's in a contract year. He wants to ball out. So we're going to take a calculated risk, and if he doesn't play, we lose a 2026 third-round pick. And that's going to sting real bad, but it's going to hurt a lot more if he doesn't play. So I think it was a tactical move. I do think we're going to see Haason Reddick this year. And if he plays hardball and he doesn't show up, or he half-asses it on the field, he's not getting a big contract. I'm not going to feel so bad either way. I think this defense is good enough without it. Matt, I want to hear from you. Do you think it would be a fireable offense if Breece Huff has such a good season and Reddick does not play for the Jets?
Fireable offense for just that? No. One of the things that you go down the list on, if Joe Douglas loses his job at the end of this year, that would be one of them. I don't think he is going to lose his job at the end of the year. I want to be clear on that. But if things go wrong and the Jets are 7-10 for a third year in a row, I think Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh should both be let go. And if that happens this year, I'm sure, Haason Reddick not being a big part of this team is likely a reason for that. And then you go like Tristan Wirfs, passing on him for Mekhi Becton, missing on Zach Wilson and, some of the other things there. But I think it's fair to bring up Joe Douglas's, I guess, maybe apprehension of paying players. Not necessarily like going to like Jamal Adams or Leonard Williams or any of those guys. I'm talking more like internal guys. Quinnen Williams, they waited forever. Like the market was set for so long on him. He was the last guy between Dexter Lawrence and Justin Simmons to get paid.
To that point, though, by Quinnen waiting, he did get the highest contract. There is a benefit to letting those guys get paid and Quinnen stacking on top of it. So like as long as because he sat out a little bit from camp, if I remember correctly, last year. So like as long as he's not putting himself in a bad position, being the last one, like I think you'll see that with like CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase and those guys too. Like whoever's the last player paid should be the highest paid of all of them. And I think they're just playing a little cat and mouse game right now.
Yeah, but I'm talking on Joe Douglas's side, not on Quinnen Williams' side. Like on Joe Douglas, like you shouldn't have tried to.
You're saying you should have gotten
like
cheaper.
Be more proactive with it.
I see.
Sign Breece Huff a year ago. Don't walk like they are very likely going to do the same thing with Michael Carter right now because there's no contract talk. So for this whole year, we're going to be talking about extend Michael Carter. That was all this offseason and going through the season. Very likely is going to be Michael Carter should get an extension, and it doesn't look like they're going to do that. It makes me a little bit worried. Again, I'm not saying like fire Joe Douglas or that he's a horrible GM. I do just think it's a fair criticism of how he has handled some of his internal signings.
Yeah, if Joe Douglas really wants to put a damper on Haason Reddick, he signs Michael Carter right now. Michael Carter showed up to camp. He already got injured once. I think you sign him. He's one of the best at his position. Get him locked in right now. Show the rest of the team that a guy that shows up and plays hard and comes to the meetings and goes to practice deserves a contract, gets one. That's what I want to see. Green Bean, your thoughts on Breece Huff and Haason Reddick if Huff shows out with Philly and Reddick doesn't play for the Jets?
Fireable, Boogie. I mean, I don't know. I think I don't look at it like that. Like, so number one, I think 9 out of every 10 Jets fans wanted to see Breece Huff signed. I was a part of that. So we don't like it, but this is all new to us, having good players that we don't keep, right? It's not having good players is new to us. So there's that. But like every year, all the good teams in the league. Now we haven't won anything, so there's that argument, right? But I think it's pretty hard to debate that we have a good team, right? We have Aaron Rodgers, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Michael Carter II, Jermaine Johnson. Like we have all these guys all over the roster that by the way is the GM. So the fact that we are being discussed in Super Bowl conversations is the general manager. Now, I have lots of issues with Joe Douglas, like has been brought up. I don't love, I love the fact that we don't get into like contract hell like we used to see with McCagnon did it, Tannenbaum did it, for years and years and years. The only way we can get anybody to come here was paying, the very famous Jets tax, And that's if we got anybody, that's how we did it. So I like that we don't do that. We don't see that with Joe Douglas very often. But I don't like Matt was pointing out, I feel like he borders on cheap, right? And I don't like bargain bin. He's done well there in some respects. Quincy Williams being way up at the top of that list. He's done well, but I don't love that. I also don't love, like this year, my rub, and I talked about it last week, is I don't love the interior of our offensive line depth, especially when you have, an injury prone AVT and that we're depending on again. Like I wish he would do a few more things, but you can't take away that he built this team. This is the most exciting, talent riddled team that we've had at least since 2015. But really, in my opinion, since 2010. Like, so we're talking about 9 years minimum, potentially, 14 years. That's how long it's been since we've been in the playoffs, right? Since 2010. But that's what we're looking at here. So are you going to fire a guy? Because like Ryan pointed out earlier, it was a calculated risk. The truth is that Reddick has zero leverage. And it's not that we have nobody there. We have a first round pick there, and we have other guys that we feel can play. Now, again, maybe they're not Reddick. I'm not saying that they are, but we have guys for the position. Like Connor Hughes thought. It's so funny because Connor Hughes is getting painted to be like a Jets shill right now. It's just so funny because he's been so negative for so many years about the Jets. And now he's like a Jets puppet because he's saying, I think what he called him was a luxury, right? I don't know if I'd go as far as saying he's a luxury, but it's a good point. It's like he would make the team better. It's not a 2026 third. In 2026 is going to be a third round pick. It's going to suck to lose it. But in 2024 draft, it has the value of a 5th round pick. So he traded a 5th round pick for arguably one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, disgruntled or not. If he chooses not to play, it's a ridiculous decision. Like his financial advisors, his agent, and whoever else on his team are giving him terrible advice. He needs to play. We own this guy's rights, and he has no guarantees. He's just losing money. And to recoup that, especially when you get the label of a disgruntled guy, nobody's going to want to give a 30-year-old guy who's a potential behavioral issue and problem $25 million. So it's just, you just wait him out. He's going to play this year. I would be blown away if he doesn't play. Is it aggravating? Would I prefer just to have paid Huff like was talked about a few minutes ago? Absolutely. And I love that Huff was homegrown, undrafted free agent, all this stuff. He was the guy to keep. If they, if they feel like this was the move, we got Will McDonald to kind of fill that role. It's going to be cheaper. We can bring on a Reddick who is a known commodity. And it's aggravating on the way. Whatever. He's going to play this year. Week 1, week 2, whatever it is, he's going to play. He's going to be Haason Reddick, and we're all going to forget about this. That's the way that's what I believe. Maybe I'm wrong, but fireable. I mean, I think that's an absurd conclusion to draw. Not that you are absurd, Boogie. It's a good question, but I think to draw that conclusion is an absurd conclusion to draw for one move. Moves work and moves don't work. It's part of the deal.
To touch on your 2026 third round draft pick as well, it's definitely going to sting in 2026 when we're like, man, I really wish we had that third round pick because this player, while we're sitting here doing the draft party, is just sitting on our board waiting for us to take it, and we're going to see the Eagles pluck him out of nowhere, and it's going to suck. But at the same time, that 2026 year, if you're kind of reading the tea leaves, we're going all in 2024, all in 2025. Realistically, 2026 is going to be a reset year. It's going to be oh no, we're eating all this dead cap right now. If there's ever a year to not really have all the ammo in the draft box, that's not a terrible season to have it. And then I don't want to say bottom out for that year, but you just kind of see who your current roster is assembled with. and then, you know, you go from there. I'm not too banged up about it. I think the extra firepower this year is, like Green Bean said, a worthwhile calculated risk. City Bear comes in, he says, JD traded away every guy that demanded a trade. Jamal Adams, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims. Can you guys explain why it's different this time? Because Haason Reddick's a good football player at a premium position. Jamal Adams, booty cheeks. You're out of here. We have not put a lot of money into the safety position. Elijah Moore, sorry, you did not really perform. And you were also super toxic for a guy that we drafted. Like, he had to get out of here. I don't think that was a major loss. I wanted to see him last year with Aaron Rodgers, but all in all, not a big loss. Denzel Mims, for whatever reason, just didn't pan out. You know, it just didn't work out here. I had heard coaches and things like that thought he was a little bit soft on the field at times. He'd mumble under his breath at other times when he got hit. So I think it was just not a culture fit. Blitzcrew comes in and says, think we can get something for Izzy? No, he's going to get cut. Harrison, thank you so much for the super chat. I don't see a question tied to it, so if I scroll through and I do come across it, I will make note of it. But either way, thank you so much for the super chat. Mike comes in with a super chat. Thoughts on Adrian Martinez? He's going to be great on the practice squad. That's my thoughts. I don't think we're carrying two quarterbacks. It's going to be Tyrod and Aaron, and Peasley and Martinez are just battling for who makes the Jets practice squad. I guess you could carry two on the practice squad if you really wanted to, but he's not going to be on the opening day roster. Eric drops in with super chat. Thanks so much, dude. Says, Green Bean, I agree. You can't act like the season is over. However, to me, what makes it worse is the fact that we lost Huff, traded for Reddick, traded away JFM, now for nothing, and now we have this drama, but we'll be fine. Yeah, look, that's the frustrating part, right? Like, if you knew Haason Reddick was going to do this, you may have tried to rework JFM a little bit more. Matt, I remember you tweeting out something along the lines of like, oh, the contract or whatever, and JFM responded saying the Jets never even made an offer. Like, or at least at like the level that he got from Denver. So, and he was a team guy, a guy that can play multiple positions. The ceiling of Reddick is just so high. Maybe we just felt that our depth that we were bringing in justified the release or trading of JFM. Matt, your thoughts on Eric's comment here?
Yeah, I think Eric is right to bring up Bryce Huff and John Franklin Myers, because the pushback that I get when I bring up like why Haason Reddick not being here, or like the thought of him not being on this team, is an issue. The pushback that I get is, well, he wasn't here last year. He never played for the Jets, and the Jets had a great defense last year. Yes, but this team also had Bryce Huff and John Franklin Myers. That's 117 pressures and 13.5 sacks to make up. Haason Reddick was going to go a long way towards making that up. Do you have other depth pieces? You do, but Will McDonald's a question mark going into this second year. I think he's going to be good in a situational pass rusher role, but he's not someone who could play every down. Right now, we've seen Michael Clemens playing over Will McDonald with the ones. So if we're in a world where Michael Clemens is the starting edge across from Jermaine Johnson, I think that's an issue because he doesn't have those pass rushing skills. I think he's pretty good against the run, and maybe on his best day, he's kind of like a Walmart version of JFM, but I don't think that's the same. You're going to have an elite defense if he's your other starting edge. And then, yeah, you have like Takk McKinley, you took a flyer on, and some UDFAs, but none of those guys have the same impact that a Haason Reddick would in a year where you are trying to win a Super Bowl, and this team is built around having an elite level defense. It's not saying that they still can't be good or, you know, a slightly above average defense, but I think going from Reddick to potentially Michael Clemens in this world, if Reddick doesn't show, again, I think he does for the first game, but like we also have to take into account the loss of Bryce Huff and John Franklin Myers on top of the potential of Haason Reddick not being here. It's all of those things factored together, not just Haason not being here.
Well said. Well said. Green Bean.
Fuck JFM. Can we just stop with the JFM stuff, by the way? JFM is an okay player who, you know, I liked him fine. You know, I have no gripes, but I didn't like him on the end. I thought he was he struggled to seal the edge. And he didn't give you all that much in the passing game. He was a solid play. He's Mike DeVito. That's what JFM is.
I agree with that. He had 50 pressures last year. Michael Clemens had 8.
Michael Clemens played. Look, Michael Clemens played 20% less snaps than JFM, was asked to gain 20 pounds and was experimented in a different position last year. Then they bounced him back. And the actual stats are comparable. JFM is an okay player. He's not somebody that I'm really all that I'm sad to lose. He's the kind of guy that I'm perfectly fine losing every single year. You got to lose players. What the hell is that? Why does that keep going on? I'm sorry about that. If you guys keep hearing that, for some reason, my computer. Oh, good. That's what a good mic does for you. But like, I'm just like, look, Bryce Huff, that's a player that I didn't want to lose. JFM, like Quentin Jefferson, liked Quentin Jefferson, liked Sheldon Rankins, perfectly fine with those kinds of guys leaving. They're good players. They're easily replaceable. I think JFM's play on the field is not all that difficult to replicate. I'm not too worried about it. He's not any needle mover for me one way or the other. Huff is the guy that I would focus on. JFM moving, good. Who cares? Bring in Eric Watson and let's go. I don't give a shit.
That's crazy. That
You're
is
crazy.
Crazier things you've ever said on this show.
JFM is a jag.
That's insane. Come on. You don't even believe that, Green Bean.
I do believe that.
Oh,
I mean, what is that? I can't have a fucking opinion on this show.
No, frozen in the bed.
This is bullshit.
Sorry, I haven't hit the button.
I'm being silenced.
Michael Clemens, 65% of snaps, 14 pressures on the year. He replaces John Franklin Myers.
We love you, Green Bean. Gibby dropping in says, just bought my tickets for week 4. Looking forward to meeting y'all. Gibby, can't wait. Thank you so much. Tom Cahill comes in and says, what if Williams balls out? I'm assuming he's talking about Mike Williams since he's on a 1-year contract right now. If he balls out, good. If he wants to resign, cool. If he doesn't want to resign and we have to get a draft pick as compensation for losing him, fine. Because we still have Lazard under contract. Maybe Lazard looks a little bit better and he kind of earns his money, unless Lazard's out after this year, or maybe Brownlee shows out and he'd feel good about that. I feel like there's a lot of options, and Mike Williams balling out is a great thing to have happen, whether we re-sign him or he leaves, whichever. It's a good thing for the New York Jets. Harrison, thank you so much for the super chat. So this is the one you wanted to follow up with. Do you think we retain all of Jermaine, Michael Carter II, Garrett Breece, and Sauce next year? No. I think what's going to happen is the Jets are going to re-sign Michael Carter II. I think that will happen. It'll be around like a $10 million a year, 4-year contract. I think Sauce is probably going to get the bag. I don't know if it should be this offseason. It's the first year he's allowed to renegotiate. I think having 2 All-Pros, especially if he stacks a 3rd All-Pro this year, you'd be silly not to do the extension now. I also think that allows you to extend Breece this year, give him a little 3-year Band-Aid contract to kind of stretch it over these next 3 years, because he's only got the 4-year contract total going into his 3rd year this year. I do think Jermaine Johnson and Garrett are going to have to wait at least till next year to get their contract, because I think it's going to be too much guaranteed money all at once to do it all right now. And I think Garrett and Jermaine, while we love them, are not on the same level. Kind of like what we said last week, where Breece and Sauce are just otherworldly right now. I think Garrett and Jermaine probably have to wait till 2026 to get paid. And that would be finishing their 4th year. They're going to have their 5th year options exercised going into 2026. But that's when the contracts will really start going, I think, at that point. And correct me if I'm wrong, is Justin Jefferson going into his 5th year, or was it, I guess, last year? Jamar Chase, I think, is going into his 5th year this year. CeeDee Lamb is going into his 5th year this year. Like, that's why all these guys are starting to get paid right now.
They're going into Jamar Chase is going into his 4th year.
His 4th year. So that's kind of what I would look for with Garrett, which I guess would be next year.
Next year, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So maybe Garrett does hold out. It's possible, but I think more than likely Garrett and Johnson wind up having to wait a little bit longer unless they can figure out a way to, have Woody dig deep into his pockets for all that guaranteed money that has to go into escrow in one off season. We'll see. But I tend to think Michael Carter II, Breece, and Sauce are the ones that get locked up after this year. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Sauce is the first one to get paid. Garrett, I also think is close on there. I think they wait on Jermaine Johnson and Breece would be my guess. Michael Carter's not going to cost you a whole lot, so I almost don't even think of him in that same group and different draft class too. But I think they wait on Breece Hall. I think Sauce is priority, Garrett then, and then Jermaine by default. I guess they wait another year on.
Green Bean, what about you? What do you think the order is going to be for these guys?
Here's the thing about JFM is that
Oh my God.
35 of these pressures that we're talking about are what we call hurries. Hurries are the chump change of pass rushing stats. When you hurry the quarterback, JFM is a jag. I said it. He had 17 tackles, I think, right? Let me look. Hold on.
Am I going to freeze? You know what? This is what's going to happen. Boom. There
He
you
had
go. We're off the
15
JFM.
solo tackles. He had
Can I mute you? Does that
627
happen?
snaps. I can't believe. I can't
I'm
believe
kidding, I'm
this
not
is
muting
like
you.
fucking. I can't even speak on this channel. I can't believe you guys. Matt, you support this?
No, I wanted you to continue to go. I would be fine debating this with you, but I think Jag is disrespectful. I think he is an above average starter and would be playing and starting on a lot of teams. And he does some of the dirty work too that doesn't show up on the box scores. For instance, I do think he is good at setting the edge. I think he's their best run defending edge. That's a sneaky problem for the Jets. They lost their best run defending edge this year and might be worse against the run this year because of that.
He had a 64.3 run defense grade from the all-knowing PFF.
What does that mean?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know what
I'm
that
just saying.
means.
He had 627 snaps on defense. He had 15 tackles, 16 assists, 3 sacks. Again, I liked JFM fine. He is not an irreplaceable player. I don't like that he's used as some kind of mechanism to draw fault. I think that's the kind. If you got to lose a player, if we were looking at the defensive line last year, who else would you rather lose? Like we had Jefferson, Al Woods, JFM, Solomon Thomas. Who would you, if you had to lose some guys, who you want to lose?
JFM
isn't in that mix?
I think was probably the one that you talked about more frequently. It was either that
was
or
that?
restructure him to drop his cap hit. I think
But his
those
cap
are kind
hit
of the two.
now
options.
is like his cap hit now is like $7.5 million. If the Jets offered him that would have been insane value for what he gives you.
15
Javon Kinlaw is getting $8 million. That guy, you want to talk Jag? Javon Kinlaw, he can't stay on the field.
Peter S. comes in with
Javon
super chat.
Kinlaw is an unknown commodity. JFM, Mr. Late hit on the quarterback, ruined games.
That was the most frustrating part about him. It was
Now, granted, he didn't do that last year, but the year before,
he had two. I think 2 years ago.
Yeah,
It
two.
was the Bengals game and the
which I thought were bullshit
Patriot
penalties to be fair, but still, you look, why are you even pushing the quarterback? Why are you pushing him to the ground? But anyway, I'm just saying, if you gotta lose guys, like if you're gonna lose guys every year, right? You're gonna if we looked at our defensive line last year and you said, okay, you gotta lose some guys. JFM's in the conversation without question. Without question, I have no problem losing JFM. All right, what is this question here?
Nah, we skipped.
I didn't see one.
Peter S. drops in with the super chat, says, "One Jets drive was excellent. Always gets me hyped. Was watching the stream too. So how much drama will there be for the emergency quarterback 3 on the practice squad between Martinez and Peasley? Reddick can kick rocks. He can pound sand. He can take a long walk off a short pier.
All that stuff.
Reddick. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, look, there's not going to be that much drama between Peasley and Martinez. If that's the drama we got to deal with, we're in a good spot. One Jets draft. Yeah, I got to put on one Jets draft. I wonder if we could like do a watch party. That'd be kind of fun. I don't know. It comes out every week on our show, so
Yeah,
not ideal, I guess.
That'd be tough.
Citybert comes in and says, "Can we swap Judon and Reddick? Knicks Nets made a similar trade." I don't think so. And my thought process is, one, I think Reddick is I don't want to say a higher caliber player, but a more explosive player right now. I think we own Haason Reddick for $15 million on a non-guaranteed contract that he's going to be playing on. So I think that's number two. Number three, I don't think Judon's going to play on a 1-year, $15 million contract. I think that's the issue that I have here. And not to mention, I don't really want to see Haason Reddick for the next 4 years as a Patriot. If he has to leave after the season and he signs the Patriots on a monster deal and we get a compensation pick for it, that's totally different. But I would not make this trade. Matt, your thoughts? Judon for Reddick.
Yeah, I don't want to be really doing business with the New England Patriots here. I think you just got to figure out a way to get Haason Reddick in the building. They're not trading him. So it's kind of just like in figure it out territory.
Green Bean, what about you? Reddick for Judon?
Judon wants a contract.
He does, yeah. So that was the whole thing. Like I don't.
Yeah,
we own Reddick right now.
Yeah, I would say no.
Blitz Crew comes in. Thank you so much for the super chat. Dude says, with the 2022 draft class, this year's draft and free agency offensive line signings, Aaron Rodgers trade, JD has transformed this roster. Best GM we have had since the tuna. Completely agree. And look, I would argue that the way certain maneuvers went down, I feel like the draft wasn't fully, I don't want to say wasn't fully figured out, but it was a different type of draft with the rookie salary cap being a thing come 2012. It's such a different way to handle things. Also, the salary cap was implemented shortly before Parcells became our head coach, only a few years, like within those 5 years. So I think trying to figure out the maneuverability of contracts wasn't quite there at that point when Parcells was our coach. But yeah, I think Douglas is the best GM we've had since Parcells, bar none. And I think these two guys feel probably the same. I'll give you guys one-word answers. Green Bean, best GM we've had since the tuna.
I didn't like Tuna as a GM, but
That's
Tuna
fair.
was a great coach. He sucked as a GM. But the point I agree with. He's the best GM I think we've ever had.
That's kind of
maybe
where I'd go on that too.
Yeah, going back to the 𝐒𝐵 Bank days. I mean, there was a lot of maneuvering and posturing then that he did that really worked out for the Jets. I was reading a book about that era, and it's crazy what they actually did to get the Jets to where they ended up winning the Super Bowl. But Tuna was a great coach, got the best out of players, brought in some of his guys and all that kind of stuff. But the truth is we had a pretty damn good roster when he got here. We just had terrible coaching and quarterback play and all that stuff. But he really, really blew a couple of great opportunities. One is to get Peyton Manning. He blew that. And then he had the number 1 overall pick. He traded it ultimately for a 3rd, a 5th, and a 7th round pick. He moved, and he had the first overall pick, left 2 Hall of Fame tackles, Walter Jones and Orlando Pace, on the board, and got a 3rd round pick and some change for it. So not very good, but
Matt,
great point.
Is Douglas the best GM?
No. Mike Tannenbaum made the playoffs. So I think you have to make the playoffs before you're in consideration for being the best GM.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not going to argue it.
Good point.
Q-Lake
Yeah,
says,
solid.
thanks for the training camp tickets. Got Ray Mickens' autograph. Of course, Q-Lake. He won the training camp tickets last week, which I should definitely look right now because I think the next one is the 20th. Let me pull this up right now just to see if I still have tickets or if we gave them all away. Because I think, did we give away the 20th last week? Is that what we did? Manage tickets. 13th was today. So let's see, the 20th. Says my tickets aren't quite ready yet. Oh, so maybe I do have some tickets. But I don't know if people... Who did I send tickets to the 20th? Matt, did I send you tickets for the 20th? I feel like I did that.
No.
Oh, no, I did it to NYJ Mike. That's who I sent it to. So I guess we have. Oh, now I don't know. All right, I might have to give them away on a different show. I don't want to give away tickets that may already be spoken for that I'm just screwing up right now. John Moore, what's good, dude? He said, should have just overpaid Clowney. Yeah, look, I think a lot of us wanted Clowney, so it would have been nice to see that come to fruition. Whatever. We're going to ball out with Reddick. It's going to happen. John Moore's coming with us, I think. Pretty sure. To the game. Week 4, I think. We'll see. No Skills comes in with a super chat, says, warms my heart to see Mecole Hardman give up a boneheaded safety, downing a kick in the end zone week 1. Yeah, really, it makes you feel good after catching the game-winning touchdown to win the Super Bowl for his team last year that he winds up getting a safety in preseason in the first game that he plays. Like, at least a little bit. Definitely a knucklehead move. If you guys didn't see what happened, the ball bounced around. I think it was at like the 1 yard line. He went into the end zone and took the ball from the 1 yard line or from the half-inch line and pulled it into the end zone and kneeled down and got a safety. Screw that guy. Harrison, thanks so much for super chat. He says, whoa, Green Bean, you put some respect on that Mike DeVito, Sione Puha era.
I love those guys. But let's be real. You got to be objective. Loved those guys. DeVito and Puha. And then we had a whole series of like the right end ended up being like Trevor Price and who was the other guy we got from the Giants?
Jenkins still there at that point? No, Jenkins was earlier. Or Jenkins was later.
No, Jenkins was Rex. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I love those guys. Yeah, they were great.
Well, Puha and DeVito were Rex too.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I just got jammed
I think
up.
Jenkins might have been like the very end of the Rex era because I feel like we re-signed him with
Jenkins was
Jenkins was 2009. He got hurt.
Something like that.
No,
he got
not
hurt
that
in
Jenkins.
2009 towards the end of the
Sorry.
season.
That wasn't the one I was talking about. I was talking about Jordan Jenkins.
Oh,
Jordan Jenkins. Oh,
That
Chris
was the
Jenkins.
tail end of Rex, I think, or was that 𝐒𝐿𝐫𝐞𝐾?
that was 2016. That was Mike McCagnon.
All right, so
Yeah.
it was McCagnon.
So yeah, but those guys were great. They were solid as hell, man. And in that, but see, they're the types of guys, like they were space eaters. They were very good two-gap run stuffers. But then we needed to generate pass rush with blitzing, which I love, I love it. But it also, like, look, we've seen Rex beat the Patriots, beat Tom Brady by pulling everybody back and flooding the zones as opposed to generating a pass rush. So I don't know. I loved those guys, and who's to say anything bad about that era, man? I mean, other than the fact that we fell short 2 years in a row. But yeah, those guys, I mean, I love them. They're Jets for life, in my opinion, even though DeVito went and played for the Chiefs. Where did Puha go? Did he ever do anything after us? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I think so.
Sione Puha. I'll check right now.
Slugo comes in and says, Ryan, don't forget AVT is going to be up for a contract. Didn't we gave him his 5th-year option, I think, right? So we do have him under contract for next year?
Yes.
All right. So I think we're going to let him play out that 5th-year option. I don't think he's going to get a contract going into this offseason, unless it's like a deal that drops his 5th-year option so we're not paying as high of a price, which I do hope happens. I think AVT's a stud, and we should keep him, but there is the injury concerns. Sodak comes in with a super chat, says, I know he was a day 3 pick, but Clemens is a little undisciplined and expected him to develop more, to be honest, with the staff. I think what really threw us off with him was last year when he added that much weight and he just kind of played out of position. It felt like he was too lethargic. I think we'll see more and be a little happier with where he is now, especially with JFM not being here and him getting a little bit more playing time with the ones. So, I mean, as far as a day 3 pick goes, I'm not too upset there, and I think Clemens will be fine for what we're looking for. I don't think I missed any other super chats. Let me just scroll through real quick. I think we are good. Boys and girls, make sure you hit that like button if you're just tuning in here. For every 25 likes we get on this video, we're going to pick a t-shirt, jersey, hat, mug, qualifier at the end of this stream to win something at the end. And if any of you guys have an extra ticket for Jets-Giants joint practice coming up on, I think it's the 21st. It's whatever the Wednesday is. and you have an extra ticket, you want to send it my way, I would love to go to it. Going to try and put up an every throw or some kind of practice video for it. So Jets Talk 24/7. Reach out if you have a ticket. It was only on sale for the season ticket holders, and I'm not a season ticket holder, unfortunately. C'est la vie. All right, let's actually get into some of the graphics and topics that I pulled up here. We're going to go over to Haason Reddick. And clearly, this is the contract we're looking at right now. I'll pull this part down, and we'll look at the audio of what Haason Reddick said at the time he was traded to the New York Jets, just so we can all hear it in his own words.
How do you look at it? Is it you're on the last year of your contract? Like you said, it's a business. Is this a place you hope is a long-term home? Are you looking at this like a one-year situation, or do you believe there's a chance you guys could get an extension done?
All options are open. Right now, currently just worried about being here, meeting everybody that's in the building today. Contractual stuff, I'm leaving that up to my agent and Joe to figure out. But whatever happens, I'm going to be happy for her. I'm going to give my all, no matter what. That's just who I am as a person. So no matter how it goes, how many years, I'm going to be here for however long I'm here for, and I'm going to give the team, the fans, everything that I have.
That was a lie. The old Maury meme. One thing I do want to point out, don't know how critical it is or not, Haason Reddick, Bryce Huff, and Joe Douglas all are represented by the same talent agency, CAA Football. Now, they all do have different agents, so those agents are going to be operating in a way that gets them the most money, but since they're within the same agency, you got to think there's some type of collusion going on anyway. And maybe there's a little behind the scenes of, hey, Douglas is going to bend the knee, don't you worry, just, this is what we know about him from all these other, situations. I don't think that's the case. I would tend to think his agents probably said, look, you probably don't want to hold out. Reddick's probably feeling a little bit of a way and just making a bad decision, or took some advice from someone that's not very smart. Green Bean, I'll throw it to you first. What are your thoughts on Haason Reddick's comments right here? And do you think there's any conflict with all these guys sharing the same talent agency?
Well, it reminds me of Elijah Moore. Remember Elijah Moore saying, it doesn't matter if I get 0 catches as long as we win and all that kind of stuff. And then it was a whole different thing when he was getting 0 catches. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's much to do. It's definitely not true. But these guys, they've been prepped on how to answer questions their whole career. They, so we call things like a coach speak or, team speak and all that kind of stuff. He said all the right things, hoping that it would go his way. It didn't go the way that he wanted to. And we are where we are. I think it's much to do with nothing. I mean, it's like whenever we make big deals about, what Saleh says in a speech or, a press conference or whatever. I think it's all just, I don't know. I don't make much out of it. It's definitely conflicting and it's aggravating and all that kind of stuff. But you'd love to believe that what he said there is just like, yeah, I'm going to let it work itself out, but I'm going to make sure that I'm playing. He is getting 15 or just about $15 million for the year. So it's probably worth playing for. I mean, I would say, 15 million is not so bad of a salary for a year. Right. But I don't know. I don't know. I just don't make much out of it. Whenever they say anything, I think they say the right things, because they're prepped to say the right things. So it just is what it is, in my opinion.
Crossfire says, honestly, I see him folding first. He knows at this point he effed up and will have to put out a statement trying to backpedal. Yeah, it's a little bit of a battle of attrition. Like which side folds first? Which one actually wants to? I think both sides are going to have to give a little bit, but man, this is going to be rough. I feel like if I was Douglas, I would say, look, I'll guarantee you your salary as long as you are on the field playing. If you're going to pull this half-ass bullshit and we're going to have to bench your ass because you're not playing up to snuff, you're not getting paid. Like that's the kind of contract I want to have worked out with Reddick if he's going to come back in and have it incentive laden. Matt, what were your thoughts on Reddick's comments initially, and how do you feel about them now?
Yeah, I agree. You know, the coach's cliche, like Robert Saleh's his go-to buzzwords when he goes up there and speaks at the press conference. Like the player at the time is going to say all the right things, and um, like it's annoying. I think it's annoying that Haason Reddick has seemingly gone back on his word a little bit. Again, like I don't think though I could put 100% of the blame on Haason Reddick in this situation. I think we're probably pretty close to an even split between Reddick, Joe Douglas, and Woody Johnson. I think you have to toss him in the mix too because he's the one who okays if guys can get paid or not. So um, it's just at this point it's boiled over to an ugly, frustrating situation. And I think it's just better for all these sides for something to get done and for him to come in the building. You know, whatever that something gets done means, whether it's, you know, redoing the contract for this year or, you know, adding on an additional year. I'm not saying, you know, 4 or 5 year mega deal here, but I just think it's better for all parties. As you said, they're repped by the same agency. Right now, it just looks it's a bad look for both. I think it's a bad look for both Haason Reddick and the Jets, frankly, right now. So I think it's in everyone's best interest to kind of just squash the beef, so to speak, and get this thing done.
I see Modine in the chat. Let me pull this up real quick. Says, you can't depend on a word, a handshake, an intention. Get it on paper. Jets fell asleep on this one. I feel like where the issue comes in for me was well, I'm not going to bring up the JFM thing. I was going to say when you traded JFM without having some type of an agreement with Reddick, but at the same time, Douglas still has Reddick by the balls. Like if Reddick's not playing, like I still don't look at this as like a Joe Douglas failure as much as it is like, hey, look, we knew this was probably part of the calculation and this guy's going to have to come in and play. We're just going to have to deal with it. Like if we were talking about that months ago, there's no way Douglas wasn't talking about that prior to signing the guy or prior to bringing him in. And I think you run an even bigger risk if you had said, hey, I'm going to guarantee your money right now and we're going to figure it all out, because then he might be holding out and getting guaranteed money, trying to get even more money. So I think Douglas has played this right. You know, obviously you wish you had Huff instead, but at the same time, I'm not concerned. Like Green Bean mentioned before, I think we are going to see Reddick play this season, and he's probably going to be here week 1. According to our live poll in the chat, we have 432 votes, and 63% of the chat thinks that Haason Reddick will miss regular season games. So I'll end that poll right now. If you think we have any other poll questions that we can throw up, I wouldn't mind doing that. I'm a big fan of the poll question. I see Joey Jets in the chat says, the ball is in our court here. He straight up lied. How long can he realistically keep racking up fines before he finally realizes he screwed up? Well, it might just be one of those things where it's like, hey, look, I think the issue for me, at least with his agent, is like, why are you not at least riding a bike at Jets practice so you're not getting fined? Like the whole hold in makes a lot more sense than what he's currently doing. He's getting fined. Those fines don't have to be forgiven, and some of the fines can't be forgiven per the CBA. So when Joe Douglas is trying to calculate this dude's contract, he's not going to say, oh, well, you were at 15 and we fined you $3 million over this point of your this point of the season. We're going to give you that $3 million back. No, kick rocks, dude. You should have come in and got your money, you know, the way everyone else is supposed to. So I would say, yeah, I guess it's in our court. When does he find out he screwed up? I don't know.
And let's not but just on that point real quick, I keep hearing that, like, oh, a handshake and this and that. It's not only a handshake. There's a $15 million contract involved that is signed. There is a contract. There is the collective bargaining agreement and the series of fines associated with all this stuff. So, again, I think you nailed it, Ryan. I don't think Joe Douglas had any illusions that this wasn't possible, that there wasn't some potential for this. It was a risk. It was a calculated risk, the risk versus reward, so to speak. The guy would be absolutely foolish. I think Gitmo Bob put a comment in there. I'm not 100% on this, but I believe that this is accurate. If he doesn't play, he loses all the game checks. Then the fines come out of his pocket. Like, so all the $50,000 per day. So he goes into the red. He goes into the negative. It's not just a net zero. Like, there are fines on top of losing your entire salary. So it's really foolish for him. Look, you can do this, but if you actually hold out, I think, what a lot of people are afraid of is that he's not going to play this year. I don't see that happening. I think that he's going to end up playing. I would love to see it go. It was either you or Matt that just said this. I'd love to see a little bend on both sides. Hey, Joe Douglas didn't want to give anything else, but he gave a little bit. Haason Reddick wanted 25. He didn't get it. And we just kind of put this to bed and move on. But if he's going to play this kind of game, like I want to trade now, and the answer like that, I thought Joe Douglas's statement was awesome. No, we expect you to do this. It's going to be that, or you're going to get that. That's the way it is. And you sometimes you just got to do that. It sucks, but I think it was a calculated risk that ultimately will end up being fine. I don't think we're going to see a guy who doesn't play this season.
Not to mention, too, if he does hold out the entire season and does not play, we own his rights for 2025. He has to show up, I think it's for 6 games in order to accrue a season. So I don't know how that's actually going to play out. I want to throw Greg's comment up here real quick. He says, call me old school, but I really miss the days when guys would sign contracts and play through it. Now they want raises halfway through the contract. It'd be interesting to see like contracts sort of reworked in a way that like you're guaranteed money, but you may not see it till the end of your contract or something to like that effect, something that makes those final years more worth it. I guess it's in the benefit of the team and the player to be able to manipulate contracts. Like Davante Adams' contract, for example. He has 3 years left on his contract. He's got, if he's traded, it's $17.5 million this year for his new team. And then his next 2 years are going to be $36 million and $37 million. Now, for the like cap maneuverability, that in all intents and purposes are 2 dummy years. No one's going to pay him $36 million a year for the next 2 seasons. So there is some maneuverability where it's like, hey, Reddick's probably sitting there with Philadelphia thinking like, look, I'm due $15 million. I'm going to get cut at the end of this Eagles 3-year contract after 2 years. This is perfect. No one's going to try and sign me for 1 year on this contract. And it just, it kind of backfired. But I think that was the mindset that he had going into it. Crossfire drops in, says, I said this in the Beanbaggers Discord, but I'm paraphrasing, but Rodgers to Reddick. Stop being a bitch, sign the contract, and get to work. I love it. That's why I think he's not showing up to camp. I think the players would probably give him like a little bit of pressure. I know you're not supposed to like dip into another player's pocket, but it's like there's some peer pressure that comes into being there and not doing anything. Sodak comes in with a super chat, says, don't underestimate how dumb some of these players are. Le'Veon ruined his career by doing this. If he decides to sit out for the year, we're in trouble. I don't think we're in trouble because we'll have his rights for next year. And then, hey, dude, I don't know what happens to the draft pick. We'll just do it again. Like, let's run it back, dude. You're blowing your career right now. I don't know. Maybe I would imagine we'd trade him at the end of the year if it didn't work out at that point. But
I'll tell you what, though. What would it take, though, right now to trade him? I know Joe Douglas said we're not trading him, but what would it take?
Give me a good player. I don't want a draft pick. Like a 2026 third-round pick to replace what we just gave up, not worth it. Reddick means more to this team right now with him on the field. Give me a good player that can impact this year. That's what I'd want. I don't know what position, whatever. I'm
JFM?
open.
Would you trade Reddick for JFM, Matt?
No, I wouldn't. I would trade Michael Clemens for JFM.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't trade him.
I think Reddick's that good. Like someone said, like, yo, what if like the Cowboys couldn't figure out a deal with CeeDee Lamb? Yes. I would trade Haason Reddick for CeeDee Lamb all damn day.
All day.
like that kind of. I want a good player. I want someone of Reddick's caliber back. Otherwise, I'm not trading. Doesn't make sense. The Wedge comes in. Matt, can you throw up we're going to do another poll question. So I like the poll question you just had, but it's a runaway with Braylon Allen. So let's do that. Oh, there's a good one. But the Wedge comes in. So we're going to do our iced.
Okay, I see.
Our iced poll question right now. So since we got a $20 super chat in, you guys get to freeze one of the 3 of us for a minute. The Wedge comes in and says, hi, fellas. Go Jets. We get Davante Adams for wreck it. Go Jets. So I do think we're going to get Davante Adams. I think it's going to happen at the trade deadline. It's going to be one of those situations where the Raiders are losing too many games. They need to move the contract because he's going to wind up getting cut at the end of the year. I did see, I think it was one of the Jet rumor guys, if I'm not mistaken, said that Davante Adams is like kind of in limbo depending on what happens with Dak Prescott's contract with the Cowboys. Because if Dak becomes available, it sounds like Dak might go to the Raiders. And I don't know if that's via trade this year or if it would be at the end of the year and it would be like, hey, we're keeping Davante because we're going to have Dak next year. And I don't know how true that is either. It's more hearsay. But I think Davante is going to get here, and I'm about it. Greenbean, you think Davante winds up a Jet? And if so, when?
Well, would you trade? I would trade Reddick for Davante Adams. No problem.
I wouldn't, because I like Davante Adams a lot, but I think we can get him for a draft pick that we may not need right now. Like, I would rather give our extra third next year for Davante and keep Reddick than, like, I feel like Davante's a given.
But what month are you talking about with that? Doing that trade
for Davante?
Yeah,
you're
like
saying
talking
if we trade
Reddick
Reddick now and get Davante now, that's worth it versus having to wait till halfway through the season, have Reddick, and then give up a draft pick for Davante. I feel like I would rather hold on to Reddick, force him to play, and trade a draft pick for Davante halfway through the season. I think that's my preferred route, because then you get the opportunity to see Lazard and see Mike Williams and shoot yourself in the arm with Davante Adams halfway through the year. Maybe that's playing with fire a little bit, but I would probably prefer.
If I had the opportunity, like if it just came and say, hey, look, I'm just in a mood, I'll trade you Davante Adams right now for Haason Reddick, I would jump on that shit.
I think that's fine. I wouldn't argue the other way. I feel like we can get Davante for a draft pick, and that's probably my preferred route. Matt, what do you think on that?
If you could get Davante Adams for Haason Reddick, yeah, I mean, I think if you free yourself of this headache, you do it. Although, like, I'd be a little bit concerned what the plan is at edge at that point. I know that they have guys in the wings, but I don't feel as comfortable with Watts or McGregor or anyone else trying to close out games in the second half with a lead like Haason Reddick would for this team. So that's the part that stings it for me, man. Like, I think the Jets need an edge rusher like this in their defense to be at their fullest peak. So I'm feeling very conflicted.
Yo, if you guys are ever up in Franklin, New Jersey, Hamburg, New Jersey, Hardisty, New Jersey, right around the Crystal Springs area, if you will, I got to meet Brian the other day. This is a few weeks ago now. Ryan, bring Matt and Greenbean. I'm gonna butcher this name, so I'm really sorry. To 𝐒𝐿𝐶𝐞 Bistro to enjoy some smoked brisket. Great show. Can't wait for week 1. We have a great team, not losing any sleep. So, Brian, I want to let you know. So we went in to get some food to this new barbecue place near work, and I stroll in with one of my buddies, and Brian's wife is behind the counter and says, "Oh," like, I'm wearing a Jet golf polo, and his wife goes, "Oh, I'm a Jet fan." I was like, "You're a good person. Here, take one of my Jets Talk wristbands." And I give it to her. Very nice. And she's like, "Oh, I got to give it to my husband. He's a really big Jet fan. But the next time you come in, you got to bring another one." I was like, "All right, that's fine." So she gives it to him. He's cooking over on the grill. And he's like, "Ryan?" I was like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing." So he took a picture. It was really fun. And now that little moment, because I was with my coworker, is like, they're like, "We got to go back to the brisket place." This guy like knows Ryan. It was pretty funny. So I appreciate you, doing that and everything. So yeah, if you guys, Matt and Greenbean, if you guys are up in our neck of the woods, we had talked about putting on a golf outing at some point, maybe next year. So that would have us all in that same region at that point. So
that'd be a place to do it.
Yeah, I got to get over there. We kind of have this weird rotation of like Tony's Pizza on Wednesday because it's cheap. And then I try to bring food 2 days a week, so I'm not totally eating out all the time. But I got to get over there. I had the pulled pork. Oh, I was slamming. So good. Thanks so much, Brian. Before we get to the very, very end of our show here, I do want to bring up Deanna Rossini's comment that she made. And this was, trust is gone between Reddick and the Jets. Yesterday's twist in the Haason Reddick saga 4 months after the Eagles granted his trade request, dealing him to the Jets. The two-time Pro Bowler publicly demanded a trade from the Jets. GM Joe Douglas released a statement saying the team will not consider trading the 29-year-old, who continues to hold out from training camp after a number of phone calls yesterday afternoon. I can say that the trust between the Jets and Reddick's camp is non-existent. Here's what I was told. So this reads to me right now as Haason Reddick going to Rossini, trying to air out his grievances into the public sphere. The Jets, like the Eagles and every other team that checked in on Reddick's availability last March, knew that he wanted a contract. Every damn fan in the league knew that. So that's not really, breaking news here. Before the trade, the Jets made him an offer that was a raise on his non-guaranteed $14.25 million he's scheduled to make this season, but still below market compared to NFL's top pass rushers. His camp told the Jets that the offer wouldn't get it done. To that, I say, you have a $15 million unguaranteed contract. If you want the Danielle Hunter contract of 2 years, $49 million, guess what? That's not happening because we got you by the stones for $15 million unguaranteed this year. So you're going to have to take a pay cut if you want more guaranteed money before your contract's up. Sorry, dude. That's the reality of it. The Jets made the trade anyway because they knew they had him by the balls. The team says they never made a long-term extension offer because they were informed by Reddick's rep that he would show up for workouts under his current contract while a deal was hammered out. However, his camp says they never made that promise to the team. So it sounds like there's a little bit of confusion between the Jets and Reddick's representation. Either way, I'm not totally concerned. She says, so here we are. The Jets won't negotiate a new deal until Reddick reports to training camp, and he won't report to training camp until he's negotiated a new deal. Well, guess what? Only one of these teams is losing money for every day that you hold out. And every day you hold out, or every game you hold out, we get some money back on our salary cap. So look, dude, I am not concerned. Someone doesn't have leverage here. Green Bean, any thoughts on what Rossini's saying here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that agents do that, that they reach out to the press and they, try to get, we saw one that kind of really made it into the Jets ether, the Jets fan ether, was Marcus May's agent. Remember all that stuff? But and if you're going to pick one, I mean, who hates the Aaron Rodgers led Jets more than Rossini of late? So, but all that said, I mean, I don't know. It's just, to me, it just seems like it's probably, I mean, it doesn't seem all that off base. I mean, it's probably pretty factual. There's a couple confusions, but I doubt Joe Douglas. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I doubt Joe Douglas ponies up the third without at least having that conversation. Like, oh, we never promised that. Oh, so you didn't promise us? We never said I promise. Like, is that what we're talking about?
We didn't do the pinky promise.
Right.
It wasn't there.
Like, you're under contract, show up to workouts, we'll work on a deal. They offered him a raise. He didn't like it. Okay, well, we're negotiating. Show up. You know what I mean? We never said we promise. Seems kind of corny.
Always got an axe to grind with the New York Jets. I see Jake in the chat saying the same thing. Where's the comment thing? Boom.
She hates Aaron Rodgers, dude.
She really does. The whole lose my number thing's got her jaded. She can kick rocks. She really like, and you said it good, Green Bean, too. Literally all this information is stuff that I could have just told you, not talking to anyone's agent and not talking to, like, literally just watching the room, seeing exactly what's gone on this last little bit here. Matt, any comments on Rossini's little article here?
I think that my reaction was no duh. Like, this sounds like, from the Jet side, that's what they're going to say. From Reddick's side, that's what they're going to say. Like, both sides are using the media now to get their side of it out. Like, I think Green Bean brought it up earlier, but like, the Jets are talking through Connor Hughes on Twitter, it seems like, with some of the things that he's put out there. And Rossini, and there was another report too. Maybe it was Rosenblatt. I don't know. Forgive me. I forget who had it. And it seemed to be more Reddick's side. And now it's like, all right, both your stuff's out there. Figure it out. But ironically, I don't think through all this mess, and maybe this is the next step that's coming, I don't think we've seen Haason Reddick is looking for this number or the Jets offered this number. Like, I'm surprised we haven't gotten that deep into what the offer actually was. or what Haason Reddick is actually looking for. Those details are still kind of TBD.
John says Rossini is hot, so people take her seriously. Thank you, John.
Right.
I think she's just a bad reporter. So the poll question came back, and I am ice cream.
Good.
Oh,
You deserve it, dude. Let me just tell you, Ryan has become quite the totalitarian on this stream, Matt.
he was Green Bean. While we disagreed on that subject, I don't think you deserve to be frozen.
Thank you.
I was more than okay with talking through that with you. And you know what? I think it's good that we don't always agree on it. Otherwise, the show would be very boring. I think the debates and the lively ones at that are all fun.
I could not agree more. Like, when did it stop being a free-flowing, sharing of ideas, Matt? What happened to Ryan, do you think? Think we got to check on him?
I don't know. Something has got our fearless leader has gone off the rails with the controls here.
He froze me twice.
Yeah, twice in one day. I have not gotten frozen though, so maybe there's an inherent Matt bias here.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, clearly he agrees with you. You have support.
Absolutely no.
There he is.
I appreciate that, boys. Crossfire comes in and says, I prefer Kay Adams overall. Oh, I love Kay Adams. She's my
GOAT.
Football crush. She's a babe.
I don't like any of these girls.
Oh,
No,
I would let Kay Adams tell me.
No.
football.
Yeah, okay.
Your wife watches this. Calm down.
All right. I bet she
I tried to save Green Bean. You heard me try to save him.
Yeah,
He tried to save it. It's all right. Hopefully she's asleep and doesn't hear this. Or I'm going to get an angry comment in the chat.
I'm going to tell her to watch it. I'm going to email her and say, hey, by the way,
Timestamp, by the way.
Yeah, wait, what's the, yeah. Where
We
are
haven't
we?
done that yet in a while, too. Boys and girls, if you want to get into next week's T-shirt giveaway, all you got to do is timestamp a moment down below, and we will go through that next week on our giveaway. But let's head over to our spin wheel. We've got our baggage claim. So, Green Bean, we've got how many people in our...
Let me get one more. I'm going to do one more. Crossfire helping me out, illegally typing the winner thing in there and getting some winners.
Oh, that's right, because
Oh,
I
Mo-
made him a moderator last week, and now he's got the
He's
power.
taking over.
Rig.
The
really
final contestant is Mo Dean, everybody. Isn't that some bullshit? Oh, we got one more. Wait, 𝐒𝐞𝐞. All right. So I have
love it.
46 contestants tonight. If you wait a minute.
46.
Yeah. Okay, 46. I thought I missed
47. Well, Blitzkrieg comes in. Sounds like Ryan wants to break out the new Ray-Bans with Kay Adams. Oh, Blitzkrieg,
He
you
does.
dirty dog, you. If you don't know that, you haven't been watching the last 2 weeks, and that's okay.
Jake.
Jake says rigged Mo Dean. Dean of Mo?
Yeah.
Mo Dean.
Oh,
In the
it's so
flesh.
great. It's so great. It's so great. All right, so what are we at? We're at 48 now, right? Am I doing
48.
I blacked out
All right.
Matt.
How are we doing it this week?
Oh.
Are you going to confuse me?
I got
again,
the
or what?
random number generator. I got it.
Okay.
For a while, it wasn't working, so we were doing the thing in the chat for a bit and threw everything up. So let's see. We're
Just
going to
just
do
one more.
random number generator. Number 21. Who's 21?
Ooh, 21. Mike.
That's very generic.
Yeah, it's Mike.
That's
That's
damn,
it. It's
not
just
gonna help.
Mike. He's not there.
Yeah, Mike. Damn it. If your name is just
Oh, that's
Mike.
tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's real. It's just Mike.
No, I get that. Mike, if you're in there.
Not.
Yeah, damn.
You know, it's funny. You got to think. It's very hard to get like a name, just Mike.
Yeah. Well, no, this is like, I think this is your Google name, if I'm not mistaken. And you can have a handle, because I've talked to people in the chat that have different names when they comment. It's like when they comment like below a video. I don't really understand it. It throws me off. Mike.
Yeah.
So I'm going to need you to provide some type of proof that you are the Mike that got qualified, which means you're probably going to have to send me your YouTube handle or something along those lines. We'll figure it out.
Tune in next week when Chris wins.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Or Steve.
Crossfire. Crossfire is like, my name's Mike.
Yeah. He goes, I'm the new bean, cross bean, says Crossfire.
That's right. That's it.
He's got that little wrench next. See, I was like, oh, I'm doing a good thing. Crossfire's been solid. That's all right. He can keep the wrench.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of chaos never hurt. All right, let's hit this thing.
Oh yeah, there is an at Mike.
Pillow. All right, Mike. You get to cry into a pillow, or laugh into a pillow, or whatever you want to do into a pillow. Reach out. JetsTalk247@gmail.com or talkinjetshow@gmail.com. We'll get your shipping information, send you out a Talkin' Jets pillow. Thank you for playing. Boys and girls, we've reached the end of our show. I want to go around and give our closing thoughts. Green Bean, any last words for our panel?
Yeah, don't get all sad about JFM. We're going to be fine, everybody. But what do we got? Thursday, thick of it coming. Gunny and Dom C are both back, so we'll have the trifecta this week. For the first time this year, Dom, as you guys may or may not know, is going to be a permanent co-host for the Thursday thick of it this year. So I'm excited about seeing what those two guys can bring to the show together. But yeah, 8 p.m., Green Bean Jets fan.
You have to pull up Jake's comment on screen. You have to pull that up. That is the best thing I've seen all day.
He says, Mike, going to make sweet love, Boy Green style, into that pillow.
That's great.
Oh,
I love this Jets world that we live in. I really do. There's nothing better. New Just Jets out tomorrow. We're talking Haason Reddick, answering voicemails, talking some preseason football and daily Jets content over on the channel. Make sure to follow along. And also, Jeremy and I are back on Talking Jets on Thursday at 3. So tune into that too.
Nice. Excited. Boys and girls, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoy what you watched here. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already done so, get your tickets to the Talkin' Jets Week 4 ticket extravaganza. We're going on the field after the game. Tickets to Tailgate Joe's Tailgate, and you get to hang out with a bunch of the community. We're looking forward to having you. This is Talkin' Jets signing off. JETS.
Just go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the pouch. Screw Green Bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
And that's the other part of it, is that people are insanely jealous of this show. This show gets the best of the best, and it does a different way, with positivity.
He scores!
Ow, my head! No, come on.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family. Hit those milk thumbs, boys and girls. Freeze frame.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Green Bean.